Imagine this. You're a younger child from the early to mid 2000s. Your parents won't buy you a Wii or Nintendo DS game in an attempt to keep your childly innocence away from Mortal Kombat, Grand Theft Auto and fucking Minecraft. What do? Mobile games really aren't a thing yet, so you go online to newgrounds.com, Armor Games or Contragate, where a magical world of free-to-play online games is waiting for you. And no, none of that modern mobile game freemium, get the fuck out of here. Real projects by real creators who just want to make something cool for other people to play. Happy Wheels, Dead Emmy, Binding of Isaac, Alien Hanomate, Fancy Pants, Impossible Quiz, Dead Game, Miami Shark, Skull Kid, Henry fucking Stickman. I played a lot of Flash games. During the 90s, the internet slowly grew into this massive web of information that would eventually reshape entire industries. But that development didn't happen overnight. No. During the early days, the internet was a lot slower. So slow in fact it would not be rare for it to take 10 minutes or even longer to download a simple song. And web designers were in a constant battle to make splashy websites that didn't cripple dial modems as soon as you would look up the new hot shit like myspace.com. To solve this problem, a group of bright, beautiful engineers created a program called Future Splash Animator, which was eventually shortened to Flash, and it would dominate the internet. When the zeros rolled around, 99% of all online computers ran on Flash. Flash became the backbone for nearly every major video player and website, including Hulu, BBC Online and YouTube. Yes, YouTube ran on Flash. But then something strange happened. Amateur programmers across the world took this software and started making games. Flash games became a billion-dollar industry seemingly overnight, and sites like Newgrounds, Armor Games and Contragate would attract millions of users. Aspiring game developers created early versions of indie hits like Super Meat Boy, Bejeweled and Kingdom Rush. While no one was watching, Flash became one of the most important programming languages in the video game industry and would go to spark the indie game revolution. Happy Wheels. Despite the fact that Happy Wheels came late to the market, it became popular quite quickly because of its revolutionary gameplay and... Wait, okay, let's be honest. You know this game because of this guy over here. And if not that, it's because you can brutally kill all your characters. But that all being said, Happy Wheels was a very fun game, even if most of that fun came from the wacky physics engine. During the game's development, its creator, Jim Bonacci, noticed that players ended up dying quite often during gameplay, so he put a lot of effort into making that part of the game the most enjoyable. And he succeeded. Every time the player gets hurt, I can't help but chuckle a bit of a laugh. Wow, that was sadistic. If only it did the same with overcoming common obstacles that shouldn't be problematic at all. But I must be honest, I always kind of sucked at Happy Wheels. But yeah, Happy Wheels is great. The game is somewhat outdated and honestly the level designs are rather lackluster as a result of it being a community project, but it's still a game that holds a place in my heart. The creator has been converting it from Flash to JavaScript, so it's likely that this game will still exist after the unflashioning.
Isaac and his mother lived alone in a small house on a hill. You've done as I've asked, but I still question your devotion to me. To prove your faith, I will ask one more thing of you. To prove your love and devotion, I require a sacrifice. Your son Isaac will be this sacrifice. Go into his room and end his life as an offering to me to prove you love me above all else. Yes, Lord, she replied, grabbing a butcher's knife from the kitchen.
The Binding of Isaac is a rather sad game about a boy named Isaac whose mom tries to kill him because she heard the voice of God in her head telling her to do so. Wait, is this for real? It's in clear reference to the biblical story of the same name, the Binding of Isaac, in which God asks Abraham to kill his own son. He complies until a messenger of God tells him that he only wanted to see his reaction. What is funny is that in the biblical story, God never intended Isaac to be truly murdered, rather he would be raised as an offering, and the story is meant to demonstrate that child offerings and human offerings for that matter were not acceptable. It is funny thinking about both of these aspects, especially considering the fact that Edmund Macmillan, the creator of the Binding of Isaac, wanted to showcase both the positive and negative aspects of religion with this game.
Grabbing a butcher's knife from the kitchen. Isaac, watching through a crack in his door, trembled in fear. Scrambling around his room to find a hiding place, he noticed a trapdoor to the basement hidden under his rug. Without hesitation, he flung open the hatch, just as his mother burst through his door and threw himself down into the unknown depths below.
Isaac then escapes via a hatch and begins his adventure, during which he has to traverse dungeons in a Zelda-like dungeon crawler game. The dungeons are generated based on a random seed, meaning that no one experience is quite like the other. Also, the very basic controls and gameplay scheme allow for some challenging boss battles, so don't expect this game to hold your hand. But the same basic gameplay also make it feel like all you're doing is shooting through hordes of enemies. This is somewhat broken up by other mechanics though, like Isaac being able to place bombs. All in all, The Binding of Isaac is a great game, and luckily it will still be available on Steam. I would recommend checking it out, links in the description. Fancy Pants is a platform style game. There are multiple games in the Fancy Pants collection, but I will mostly focus on Fancy Pants 2. Fancy Pants is a character with, well, fancy pants. In the second game, you just won a golf tournament and this rabbit with bouncy bunny character steals your trophy, namely some chocolate ice cream. Yeah, the plot is not the best part of these games. The best part is with how much ease and flexibility Fancy Pants is operational. It's like Sonic if the games would be good. I want to give Brad Bourne a lot of credit for pulling this off. Usually if you make a fast, flexible character, the gameplay either becomes too chaotic to really know what's going on, or you have to constantly slow down. But Fancy Pants has such a great level design that this is hardly ever the case, and it feels like you have a ton of challenges to overcome. This is because there are a lot of ways on how you can complete every single level. Usually this hardly ever works with a 2D platformer, but Fancy Pants just pulls it off so masterfully. Now this freedom comes with a set of problems, like how would you introduce certain obstacles? Well, Fancy Pants always does this in some sort of in-between levels where you have to just run to the other door. Usually I really hate it when video games pull these sort of intermediate tutorials, but due to Fancy Pants being such a fun character to control, I don't mind these tutorial levels so much. Speaking of Fancy Pants being a fun character to operate, this is only heightened by some fun animations the character can do if you mess around with his controls. This is not important for gameplay, I just felt like mentioning it. The one regret I have for this game is that it really isn't that challenging and... What's going on? You! Prepare to die! I'll get you now. Oh fuck, no. Ah shit, ah fuck, no. No, leave me alone, no, ah shit. Ah, for fuck's sake, no, no, fuck! Oh, come on! I got you now. Anyway, it's a great game, go check it out. Okay, it's looking like I need to do this fast if I want to make sure this video is an hour long. Okay, let's go, lightning round, go! Dad and Me is a fun, wholesome game about a dad dropping his child to have fun in the playground with the other kids. Being the sequel to Chainsaw the Kids, in which you play as the dad with, you know, chainsawing the kids. During Dad and Me we find out that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree as the kids start to brutally beat up, throw in front of cars and generally murder all the other children. Yeah, Dad and Me is a brutal game, but it's also pretty fun to play. The fights are rather lackluster until the last two major fights that suddenly amp up the difficulty quite a bit.
I am you from the future. There's no time to explain.
Miami Shark is a game where you play as a shark and try to cause as much destruction as humanly possible. This game goes from destroying boats to dragging Boeing 747 out of flight and into the water. It's a fun game to play once, but honestly it won't entertain you for hours. It has no real obstacles and only one level that is always the same. Dad Game is a game in which you play as a dad. After you break everything in your boss's office and find out his evil plans, you have to try and stop him. The gameplay is pretty entertaining, but it suffers from the problem that it really just feels like all you're doing is hacking through hordes of enemies who have no real chance of stopping you. All in all, it's a pretty decent game. Looks like we've saved enough time. Alright then, let's carry on. Alien Hominid is a game where... Oh, come on! Alien Hominid is a... Oh my god. Alien Hominid is a game where... Ah, come on! Alien Hominid is a game where you play as a small yellow alien whose UFO just crash landed and is trying to dodge FBI agents out to catch you for government research or something.
Ow! Ow!
Oh, dude, you shot him in the dick. Huh? That's not cool, Butters. You don't shoot a guy in the dick.
But I was just trying to stop him and you said...
It doesn't matter, Butters. You never shoot a guy in the dick. Everyone knows that. Shooting a guy in the dick? That's just weak.
It's a fun game with some interesting graphics and it's not afraid to be challenging from time to time. Sometimes. Most of the time. All the time. Okay, the game is insanely difficult, but if you're into those sorts of games, like me, then you will love this game. The creator, Dan Paladin, has a lot of successes inside and outside of the Flash community, so he clearly knows what he's doing with regards to game design, and Alien Hominid is no exception.
Entering top at airspace now.
Altitude 20,000 feet. Wind speed nominal. Visibility is clear. Stand by for drop.
I hope you don't mind helping us out again. I called ahead and got the all clear from the general. I'm sure you've got a lot of questions. Don't worry, he'll fill you in when you arrive. Alright, time to drop.
Do you think he's as legendary as they say?
The Henry Stickmin series is a collection of games all revolving around the character of Henry, who goes through his adventures and meets a surprisingly memorable cast of other characters along the way. What makes Henry Stickmin so great is how the creator, Buffaloes United, was able to take such a simple concept and just run with it. It's also fantastic to see how the games evolve over the years. Breaking the Bank started out as a short, fun game where you explore a couple of options and see the animations play out. But once you get to infiltrating the airship, fleeing the complex and completing the missions, the game goes from a funny animation to a complete storyline. Now Henry Stickmin isn't great because of its storyline. What makes these games so good is their sense of humor. abrupt failure scenes and pop culture references. For real though, Henry Stickmin has a ton of references to other movie, games, etc. Despite the gameplay being limited to some binary choices and quick time events, the writing is just so charming and clever that this doesn't start to feel like a drag. It even helps to elevate the story, as these choices shape the path of Henry Stickmin in a way that even makes Telltale jealous. Flash over the years became one of the most important programming languages in the video game industry and sparked the indie game revolution. And then it all came crashing down. Microsoft has announced that it will be ending its support for Adobe Flash Player soon by the start of 2021. This is due to a lot of reasons, from safety concerns to just becoming an outdated tool. At the end of the day, Flash will be coming to an end and we'll have to accept that. But there's hope. There are ongoing efforts that aim to preserve Flash culture on the internet. TwoLeftThumbs has done an amazing video on this topic, so I won't go too deep into this. I will put a link in the description to his video if you're interested in this topic and what you can do to help. But in short, there are a ton of methods on how Flash games, animations and video games can be preserved, ranging from conversion and emulation to archiving. There are of course also the success stories of the Henry Stickmin collection and others that found amazing success outside of the Flash ecosystem. There are also a ton of games that I missed that definitely deserve to be in this video, but I won't put them in for time constraints. Though please share your own favorites in the comments, and if you want to, you can join my Discord and I'd love to have a conversation on Flash games with you. Will all the Flash games that we grew up with survive? No. But the indie game industry is definitely still evolving and going strong, and looking at the quality of indie games that can be monetized and produced today, I reckon that the spirit of Flash games will continue to live on past 2020.